A city is a living, growing organism. Like any living thing, it is constantly in a state of change. It can grow or it can sicken and decay. It can be dynamic or it can become tired and old. How does a city begin? Where does it start? How is it born? Let us go back 150 years. Perhaps a band of settlers stopped for the night on a riverbank. They stayed the night, and another, and another. Finally, they decided to build their homes here. More settlers joined them, and crude buildings rose on the riverbanks. Muddy, winding paths became the original streets of the city. Other buildings sprang up, and a city was born. Stores were built where goods could be bought or bartered. Homes and stores appeared wherever there was open ground. The young city grew without a plan, without direction. The small settlement grew into a sprawling city. It spilled up over the hills that formed the valley. Schools and factories, homes and slaughterhouses stood wall to wall. And still, there was no plan. Then the inevitable problems made themselves known. Blight set in, and large areas in the heart of the city began to die. Schools and churches were surrounded by factories instead of homes. Many children had no place but the streets and alleys in which to play. Cities die from within. The paths leading up from the river first became horse and buggy streets, and they were adequate for old Aben. But the automobile and the truck choked these narrow streets with traffic. The problems of the city shocked its people. They sought solutions, and the solutions came slow and hard. They were long-range solutions to the problems that had grown with generations. They were long-range because you can't change a cowpath into a modern expressway overnight. There is no magic that can turn a slum into an attractive housing project in a few months. It takes millions of dollars to undo what has already been done. Time, work, lives, and money could have been saved had the founders of older cities had the opportunity to plan from the very beginning. But older cities grew without planning, without direction. But now, let's take one city and look at its problems closely. The city we have selected is Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati's problems are complicated by its growing population. It has grown from 750 people in 1800 to well over 526,000 in 1956. The population has crowded every piece of usable land. Cincinnati is a city of hills, and usable land within the city is at a minimum. To create more living room, slums are being demolished and housing projects are being built on the land. These developments cannot answer the housing needs of all income groups in an expanding population. A rising birth rate, new industry moving into the area, and established industries expanding result in population outracing the construction of housing units. Usable land in the city is almost 100% occupied. Today, 13 miles north of Cincinnati and 6 miles south of Hamilton, Ohio, on 3,700 acres of open countryside, a new concept of city planning is being born. Originally owned by the government, but never fully developed, this land provided an ideal location for a model city. The Cincinnati Community Development Company and other outstanding citizens, to prevent hodgepodge strip developments from being built on this land, sought a community developer who could transform this 3,700-acre tract into a complete planned and balanced city for 50,000 people. The Kanter companies, headed by Marvin Warner, was selected to plan and build the city. It would be their responsibility to buy the land, evolve a master plan, and perform the miracle of building a new and unique city to be called Forest Park. Their vision, experience, and foresight would create a model city on the gently rolling countryside. But what does it take to build a model city? You start with a dream, and the dream is put on paper in the form of a plan. County officials go over the plans with your engineers. Then specialists in city planning, traffic, road building, and government are called in. Each change is reported to the citizens group and discussed with them. This is their dream, too. You look again at the older city with its slow-moving traffic, narrow streets, lack of parking facilities, its homes without yards. Planning would have prevented these problems, but such an opportunity to plan from the very beginning is given only to a new city. After months of planning and negotiation, a schedule is drawn up. It ties together thousands of details into a timetable. Then a scale model is built and a master plan drawn. Now the city, its homes, parks, roads, and shopping center take visible form. The new city is divided into neighborhoods, and each neighborhood is a part of the master community and has its own schools, churches, shopping, and recreation area. A major downtown office and shopping center will serve Forest Park and surrounding territory. Unobstructed travel in and out of Forest Park is provided by numerous main roads. Adjoining the city is one of America's finest parks, Winton Woods. But many things cannot be shown on a model. For instance, you cannot see the unique new concept of the balanced community. The known quantity is the population. Against this known figure of 50,000 will be balanced the number of retail stores, light industries for employment, schools, churches, streets, recreational facilities, and utilities. Each factor is balanced against the number of people it will serve. This is the balanced community. And this is the land. The planning is finished, and now the land must be transformed into a living, breathing city. Survey crews swarm over the land. These men breathe the first life into the city, laying out streets, sewers, mains, and power lines. Giant earth-moving machines level the hills and fill the valleys. Hundreds of thousands of tons of earth will be moved before the model city is finished. These are first stirrings of life in this infant among cities. The once quiet land echoes with the roar of machinery as man smooths out the wrinkles on nature's face. Mammoth shovels scoop great trenches through the heart of the area, fighting rain and mud to meet a deadline. Into these trenches go the great sewer pipes that will channel storm water and waste from Forest Park. Engineers and survey crews lay out the great network of water and gas mains that will feed life into the city from existing sources. Foot by foot and block by block, life-giving arteries are laid across the land. Electric power is carried by a vast web of lines throughout the city. Power to light homes and streets, to entertain through television and radio, to operate refrigerators and furnaces, power to do a multitude of vital jobs. Lines of communication tying Forest Park to Cincinnati and the rest of the world are strung swiftly and on schedule. Direct service by bus to Cincinnati and nearby communities is provided for shoppers and for those who work in the Cincinnati and Hamilton areas. As power and water and gas begin to flow into the city, the monumental work of building streets and highways continues. Forest Park is tied closely to Cincinnati, bounded on the east by Springfield Pike, on the west by Hamilton Pike, and intersected by Winton and Kemper roads. Throughout the city, heavy traffic is routed away from the residential areas. Based on the distribution of population, the flow and rate of traffic on each thoroughfare has been carefully estimated, and each street and highway has been laid out to conform to these estimates. Cross intersections have been reduced to the minimum for safety. Highways and roads are designed with extra wide rights-of-way so that additional lanes may be added in the future at minimum expense and without condemning private property. On this site, a modern school will be built. The builders, in an agreement without precedent in this area, subsidize the building of schools by paying the school district a fixed amount for each home built. The community plan places emphasis on the religious facilities of Forest Park. Land has been set aside for the building of churches. But most important of all is the building of homes. Every service, power, telephone, water, sewer, shops, stores, every facility of commerce, recreation, and government depends on the home in this balanced community. Forest Park is planned with the home and family as its base. What about these Forest Park homes? How do they fit this new concept of country living with city conveniences? There are homes for a wide range of income groups to balance out the city and to make its economic life a workable, practical one. These homes have been designed to fit the needs of both large and small families. The production line look has been avoided by the use of a large number of varied architectural designs. The designs of all homes must conform to high standards set by the developers. The spaciousness of the open countryside is reflected in the wide lots, a minimum of 20% larger than the average city lot. Each home is designed to bring this new concept of country living inside the house, to blend roomy, fresh interiors with the wide open, airy feeling of the countryside. All homes will be required to be equipped with garbage disposers and with automatic clothes dryers. Forest Park will be essentially without garbage cans or clotheslines. Every home must be landscaped to preserve the natural beauty of the area and to maintain property values. Because planning is the keystone of Forest Park, property values will be protected against deterioration and blight, and these values will increase over the years. Planning touches the city's economic future, too. To determine the number and types of stores in the shopping center and to establish the retail sales potential of the area, a survey was made by experts. It showed that the shopping center will serve more than 147,000 people who now spend more than $284 million a year. In the primary area, within 5 minutes drive of Forest Park, residents are already buying nearly $70 million worth of goods a year. Goods of all kinds will be purchased in increasing amounts. By 1970, the people in this primary area will spend about $449 million a year. The Forest Park Center, its traffic access, parking, and building areas have been planned to accommodate this growth. The 80-acre major downtown area will include the large shopping center as well as medical, dental, civic, and general office buildings. Plans also call for a large recreation area in Forest Park Center. This center will provide a wide variety of recreational activities, from softball diamonds to modern swimming pools. A modern city must provide opportunities for employment for its residents. Many of Forest Park's residents work in Cincinnati. Others find employment 3 miles away in the rich and busy Mill Creek Valley. A few miles north of Forest Park are the industrial centers of Hamilton and Middletown, Ohio. In the booming Mill Creek Valley, often called the Ruhr Valley of America, great new plants are being built every year. Here you will find the Ford Motor Company, General Electric, Crosley Bendix, Autolite, Formica, General Motors, and scores of other great industries. A light industrial park will be built within Forest Park itself. These industries will not only furnish employment, but will augment taxes for schools, roads, and municipal government. All plants will be landscaped and will conform to the restrictions in the original master plan. This long-range planning will protect both residential and industrial property values. Today, the average family has more leisure time to devote to happier living than ever before. Immediately adjacent to Forest Park is one of the finest parks in America. It is Winton Woods, operated by the Hamilton County Park District. Here in Winton Woods, the concept of country living becomes most evident. This, then, is the story of a new concept of living, a new concept of city planning. Today, on this gentle countryside, a city is being built. A city with the future built into every street, every yard, every home. As streets and mains and power lines are pushed across the 3,000 acres, a dream becomes a reality. This is the city of the future, a new and exciting adventure in city planning. Forest Park is a planned and balanced community designed for a new and rewarding way of life for every man, woman, and child. Forest Park, Ohio, is a child among cities, a child with a bright and happy future.